Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you this morning? My name is Jennifer Beckett. I am a part of the Angelos ministry that's here at all locations that we have, now grown to 3, praise the Lord. I am specifically the digital presentation lead, which means I'm one of the people in charge of whatever goes up on the screens in the sanctuary. I have another co-lead. Her name is Adrika Hall, and she's responsible for the North and the DC locations because obviously we run digital presentation at all locations. So I am representing the Angelos as a whole this morning. So I will run you through this presentation. And let's see. All right, going the right way. All right, so the Angelos ministry departments. We have a few departments, as you can see in your presentation. We have the audio department, which is responsible for all the sound that you experience when you come to any service or event. We're also responsible for video, which includes all of our camera work for all of our Sunday worship services, as well as any recordings that we do for any of your events, as well as whatever goes up on the web. Digital presentation, as I stated before, which is all the items that are up on the screens. Web tools and video streaming. We do Reid Temple Live online. I'm not sure if any of you have watched that online, but it's our ministry that's responsible for it. So we're responsible for producing it, shooting it, and making sure it gets up on the web for the mass distribution. And we're also responsible for the lighting. So all the lighting effects that you see at many of our special events, we are also responsible for that portion as well. All right, audio video support. So this is your basic generic support that you would need for any event. If you are having a meeting such as this size and you need a microphone or you need a laptop or a projector, that's requested through our ministry. When you get into the larger events, as far as if you're doing a dinner, breakfast, dance, fellowship type event, we would obviously need more information regarding what your needs are. And if you're unsure of what your needs are, then you can always request that or put in a request through the event coordinator. And she will send an email to our director of technical ministries. And from there, he will either himself meet with you as a consult or send one of the Angelos representatives to find out exactly what you're trying to do for your event. So we want to make sure that we get out everything, or at least support your event in the way that you need it so that you can get out the message or get the proper reception that you're looking for. Oops, went backward. All right, the mission of the Angelos ministry, and specifically the digital presentation team, because I think predominantly that's what most ministries need us for. The mission is to express the Spirit of God through creative video, imagery, and text, to effectively display the Word of God, so that's all of our scriptures that we place up on screens, to clearly display important information to the congregation regarding the events and activities of the church. That's all of your announcements, whether it's the video announcements or our static PowerPoint announcements that are run during offering, as well as to assist the music ministers in encouraging congregational participation in praise and worship throughout the service. So that is what we call lower third. When you see the lyrics appear at the lower part of the screen, that is also run through my team, the digital presentation team. For PowerPoint announcements, this is probably our largest area where we provide support to all of the ministries, because this is the avenue by which you can express whatever it is that you guys have going on. If you have a specific meeting that you're trying to get more members to join, if you're announcing an event or activity, it's usually done through our team. Because at least the PowerPoint announcements are the quickest way that you could get the word out to the congregations. We run them through the church when we're not in service or having activities here, so you'll see them in the monitors in the hallway. And we always run them during the offering portion of the Sunday services at every location. So this is the easiest and quickest way to reach the masses. So this is our largest portion that we have to support you all so that you can get your message or get your purpose across so that you can do your ministry. Now, with that being said, there are requirements, obviously, that we need your assistance in order to fulfill so that we can properly support you. All PowerPoint submissions must be submitted to the event coordinator on the digital presentation form at least 3 days in advance of display, which is usually by Wednesday. So like I said, this is the quickest and easiest way for you to get the word out. But you just need to make sure you submit it through the proper channels so that it can go through the proper process. In your folders, you should find a digital presentation form. It's a very simple form, and because the screen is only but so big, there's only but so much information that we really need. You really want to stick to the what, when, where, and that's it. You don't even need to necessarily go into the why, because the why is what you will do when those members come to you asking the question. That's your opportunity to then minister and try to encourage the member or guest to participate in your activity. But on that form, it's very self-explanatory. It asks for, obviously, your contact information so that if we do have a question, we know who to contact. We ask, on there you'll see the first line for the announcement portion is the dates for the announcements to be shown. We list dates and we ask for 5 Sundays. So at least 5 Sundays, because what happens if you ask for 10 Sundays, that's going to really crowd all of our announcements, and we only have a certain time frame which we can show these announcements. So if it's bottled up with millions of announcements, because we have over 90 ministries now. We used to be 80 ministries, now we're at 90 ministries. But if we're getting announcements from all the ministries, because remember what I said, this is the quickest and easiest way to get the word out for your event. And because, unfortunately, most of us are kind of last-minute planners, this is the sure way that we can at least get something out. But we ask for 5 Sundays because every slide shows on there for about 16 seconds, and then it advances to the next slide. And then if offering, especially at 7:15 service, because many of us don't like getting up early in the morning. Unlike myself, I'm here at every 7:15 service, but offering goes really fast at 7:15 service. So we're lucky to get through the first 6 slides in the offering for 7:15 service. So we try to obviously put the most current activities up front, and we do it chronologically. So if your event's on November 1st, your event's going to be the first one, vice something that's on November 15th. But there's only 16 seconds of viewing for that slide, and then it advances because we're trying to do our best to accommodate everyone, obviously. But that's why we limit it to 5 Sundays. So plan, plan, plan. That's going to be the common theme that you'll hear this whole morning. Plan in advance. Plan. So simply we just need, you'll see actually there's 2 sections here, and I don't think many folks realize that, but the first section where it says event announcement, it says check this box to announce an upcoming event. If you have a specific event that's happening, I'm doing a walkathon on November 1st at 5 a.m. That's an event. That goes in that first section. If you see the second section is a general announcement. Check this box to provide general information. I'm seeking members to join the tutorial ministry. There's no date for any of that. It's just I need some help. So that's just a general announcement. That's when you fill out that second half of that form. So the event half is the first part of the form. A general announcement is just the second half of the form. Because obviously, like I said, you need the who, what, when, and where for an event, vice general announcement. You just give me the information that you're trying to get out. I just need members to attend this ministry. And then, of course, at the bottom is before you get to all the signatures, additional hard or electronic copy of information attached. I'm going to go into this a little bit further because sometimes the items that we receive, just like Kenya, we need it to be an editable file. Because what happens is sometimes we got misspellings, and sometimes It is so crowded, there's no way that anyone could read it from the screen. So I'm going to go into that. And if you have one, because if you have a brand that Kenya designed for your event and you want to keep that brand throughout your announcements, that's okay. We can do that, but we just need to have it editable so that we can fix it so that the message actually gets across on the screens in the sanctuary. So you would always check off that box if you're supplying any of those things. And then, of course, all approval levels are required. So make sure you have all the proper signatures so that there's no hang up in the administrative part of the process as far as getting your information approved. Okay? And I think if attaching electronic files, all submissions must be made in an editable Microsoft PowerPoint format. This does not mean embed a JPEG file in a PowerPoint slide. That's not what that means. Because we have done this workshop so many times and we said the same thing. Please give us an editable PowerPoint because that's the program that we use to project the slides. But what people do, they go and design this thing, or they have Kenya design a flyer, which is great, but a flyer handbill is going to be totally different than what needs to go on the screen. So of course, it's full of text because when you're delivering a handbill, you're trying to get the person all the information they need right then and there. Vice, when you're trying to put it on the screen, like I said, all you want to hit is the what, when, where. That's it. Because your opportunity to ministry is when they come ask the question, what is this event? Now you can minister. Now you can encourage. Now you've had a face-to-face meeting with the individual to engage them and draw them in. That part is you. That's not us. So, but what we need is a PowerPoint. And like I said, if there's a particular brand, meaning if your event has purple swirlies all over it, and all the design that's coming through for your event, all your programs, your bookmarks, your place cards, all of them have the purple swirlies, and you want your announcement to have the purple swirlies, that's great. But Kenya can send us just the purple swirly image, and then we can add it to the announcement because we'll put it as our background and we'll fix it and adjust it so that the information can be read on the screens and you still maintain the brand of your event. But let us do that because we're the experts for that. Because what gets to us is, someone will embed the JPEG, which we still can't edit, by the way. They embed it in the PowerPoint, and because it's a PowerPoint file they're sending to us, they think it's okay. Doesn't work like that. And then they wonder why because I do cut them out, they wonder why their PowerPoint looks nothing like what they sent. Well, 9 times out of 10, information was way too small. They got too small text in there, or the color is just not right. So we just have to do what is best for the projection of the screen, because we want your message to get out. But if we feel that the message will be missed because of the text can't be read even though it's a large screen, people are misled thinking that a 12 font can be read on a big old screen. No, that doesn't happen. So we just need to have the opportunity to edit that for you so that we can get the message out for you properly. There we go. All right, as I mentioned, additional graphic elements for announcements may be provided in a Word document, a JPEG file, which is an image file, a GIF file, which is another image file, or a PNG file, PNG, which is also another image file. Again, a lot of that, especially if you're working through Kenya's graphics and information, they can create that for you so that you can just send those images to us, and then we can work it in to the announcement. I put in a little caveat or a little waiver there that there is no guarantee that all the elements submitted will be used. Use of these elements will be at the discretion of the DP operator. So whoever's responsible for setting up the announcements, most of the time it's me. So I've done this for a very long time here at Reid Temple, so I'm kind of used to the things that I get, and I try to do my best to make sure we still maintain the brand or we get the important information out. But there's no guarantee that we'll use everything, because like I said, if you send me 15 different little purple swirlies or lighter purple swirlies or whatever, I may not use all the swirlies. I'll use enough to maintain the brand, but the important part of it is that your message gets out. That's the important part of your announcement. All right. Then we have some folks, as was stated before, sometimes you already have a designer in your ministry that loves to do all the graphic work, and that's their opportunity to contribute and work for that particular cause. And that's great. I don't, not encourage that at all. I do encourage it. If that's the case, then you want to follow the 7 C's of communication. You'll see it you'll see it right there in your PowerPoint. You want to be clear with your message. Don't be convoluted with a whole lot of explanation. You just want to get to the point, basically. Remember, 16 seconds, that's all you have, 16 seconds. So be clear, be concise. Don't be very wordy with what you have to say. If all you need to say is it's on Saturday, November 1st, then just say it's on Saturday, November 1st. Don't say it's the first Saturday after the Thanksgiving holiday. We get it. We just say Saturday, November 1st. I do encourage, don't just put the date, always put the day included, because sometimes I have encountered where the day and the date don't match. So I have to go back to find out which one is it really Saturday or is it November 1st, which is a Sunday, So just make sure you include both. Plus, it's easier for people to plan if they're looking at it for 16 seconds. Trying to figure out if November 1st is a Saturday or Sunday, sometimes it's hard because we don't memorize the numerical out of the month. But it's easy to say it's Saturday, November 1st. Oh, yeah, it's a Saturday. I can do Saturdays. I was invited to a golf tournament, and he told me it was September 30th. So I was thinking September 30th is a Saturday, right? So I've been rolling all this time, like, yeah, I'm going, I'll be there. And then when I finally looked at my calendar, I realized September 30th was a Friday. And I was like, well, it's nice that some people can take off on Friday and go golfing, but this girl can't. So it's important, though, that you just include the day with the date. It just helps people to plan, quicker. Be cordial. Please is always nice. Don't try to refrain from using words that kind of command people to do things. Don't say you need to do X, Y, and Z. You kind of want to be cordial. I try to keep please in there. Please, visit the front desk to get more information. Please contact. You kind of want to try to do your best to be cordial about it. Be consistent. So make sure that all your information is consistent with the message that you're trying to get across. You can be creative with it if you want to do something really flighty or energetic. Hey, team. Hey, Reid Temple members. Hey, ladies. Come on, where are the ladies at? That type of thing. Put it in your announcement. That'll just help get the attention to your message. Be correct. And I say that just have all your information in line. Make sure double check it to make sure your dates are right. The day and date correspond. Spelling are correct. Your information itself for the event, whatever it may be. If you're having a breakfast, make sure you're not saying lunch later on down in your announcement. Just be correct in all your information. And do your best to be compelling. It's hard to do it on one slide, and you're only going to have to read it for 16 seconds. So that's hard to be compelling in like 3-4 words, because that's really what it comes down to. But do your best to be compelling. Our children need our help, something like that. All right, so this would completely not fly on our screens out in the sanctuary, but because you guys have this printed in your packets, and I knew that's why all this information is just jammed on this slide. But for the PowerPoint announcements, the editable draft of PowerPoint should also follow some general display guidelines. 9 times out of 10, truth be told, you guys are not going to follow this, and that's okay, because that's what we're here for. But I figured I would just give you the information so you know what we're looking at when we are receiving in your PowerPoints. That way, if you want to have your graphics person, really get to it and do it really right, where it kind of comes to just about exact of what's going to go on the screen, that's great. But just so you know, this is pretty much what we usually go by. First thing is title safe, and Kenya mentioned this about the print work, about giving it a border so that when you cut the handbill that she's created, the text doesn't get cut off. Well, it's kind of the same thing with the screens in the sanctuary. When we project the PowerPoint, there is an unknown border that is created because of just of the projection of the projector to the screen. So sometimes it may cut off a border around our PowerPoint, especially with proportions, because sometimes if you'll see proportions messed up on the screens because some adjustment was made, so we need to adjust everything that we display. But if you have everything in title safe, which means you gave it a border around your announcement where there's no text, no images, nothing, it's just a border, then you're usually safe. Again, and I do say a half inch as well for the screens. That's usually the rule that we follow as well. Font size and style. Whew, this is the other one that is usually, you know, people are like, what did you do to my announcement? But some font sizes, some styles do not look good on a big screen in the sanctuary. And if you really look at all of our announcements in PowerPoint try to maintain the same font throughout the whole thing, because the font that we select is pretty bold and big so that people can read it. You try to stay away from all the scripty, fancy, all these little extras. Yeah, we stay away from that as much as we would like to make it all fancy and pretty. But again, what's our mission? Our mission is just to get the word out. So we want to hit them hard and hit them loud. But the fancy stuff usually doesn't work. We'll try to incorporate, if we can find a fancy font that is large enough and easily read, that's what I'm trying to say, read, then we'll try to use it, but like usually we would try to veer away from that. And that's why you'll see most of the announcements do not have any of that fancy stuff. You want to use sans serif fonts, and sans serif means it's without all the hangy tails on. So the R's are not like R's with all this extra stuff on it, or the F's are just simple F's and not all fancy with all the little extra. You want to use sans serif fonts, just fonts without all the extra tails, if you will. The other two guidelines that we follow are charts and lines. Usually you don't see too many charts at all on our announcements because it's just too small. It would not really get your information across like you want to. I think we used to have the, it was something with like the book thing that we used to do, that pastor used to do, that we used to have to put charts on because he had questions for each of the sections, and then there were answers, and then it was some other, so we had to put charts on there, but it was very hard. We had to break up the charts so that there's only like 2 questions per slide, simply because it's too hard to put a chart on a big screen. People can't read it. So after a while, as you see, we've stopped doing that. Charts are just really hard. You'll see lines occasionally on the slides just to delineate between the title of the slide, vice all the impertinent information for that particular event. But we try to stay away from those two, just because sometimes it just gets lost in the background anyway, so it's hard to see. So we try to avoid the charts and lines. Colors and backgrounds. That's the other thing, especially when our beloved pastor would send us PowerPoints for the midweek Bible study. He used to think, yes, this looks fantastic on my computer. And then he'll send it to us for us to project, and we would look at it and just like in horror, like, what is that? That's not gonna work. So now pastors learn just to send it to us with just black and white, and he just lets us put the backgrounds and things on it. But obviously, darker backgrounds work better with a light font, or sometimes if you pick the right light background with the right dark font, you can make it work. But we usually try to tell people it's just best to send us blank backgrounds and we'll create it. For the PowerPoint announcements specifically that run during offering, a background is already automatically put on it anyway for the month. We change the backgrounds per month. So every month has its own background, and we, again, to keep everything consistent, just to keep the information easily readable, we just use the same background per month. Every month it'll change. So it just changed to a brownish background for the month of November. Okay, like I said, the theme of today's workshop, plan in advance. Plan in advance. Submit your request forms at least for the Angelos ministry. Submit your request forms at least 30 days in advance of the event and activity. This allows sufficient time for processing through the admin office, and it also allows sufficient time for us to get everything, all the information that we need for proper advertising time. So plan in advance. Ministries with reoccurring monthly activities should provide a calendar for the year of the ministry event dates and topics. Example, new members orientation, and they're awesome because every year they send us a calendar of all the dates of the new members orientation because it happens like once a quarter or something like that. But they plan in advance so that we know in advance when to advertise the next one. So I have a calendar at home that says, all right, new members orientation is going to take place on November 15th. I know that I need to start advertising for that in October, and I have a date already specified when I put in that announcement. It's already done. The thinking's already done for me. I already have it ready, and I just follow my calendar. So it's great if you have a reoccurring meeting, such as new members orientation or annual event that comes up. Just plan in advance and give us the calendar of when it's going to occur. The sooner it is, the better off everyone is. Again, processing time, and allows us to give us sufficient design time and posting time so we can advertise your particular event. Let me see. I think that one's it. All right. Again, event announcements will be displayed for no more than 5 consecutive Sundays. We try to, again, do that so we don't overcrowd the length of time that we have to show during PowerPoint announcements. General information announcements will be displayed for no more than 8 consecutive Sundays. Those are your, I need members, because you're not really advertising a specific event. You're advertising a need most of the time. You need the congregation to do something. Well, if you only come on first Sunday and I run it for only 4 Sundays, then you're never going to see that announcement. So we run it for 8 just to kind of make sure we've captured the masses so that everyone is touched at least once for that announcement. But usually general announcements are advertising a need. A ministry needs the congregation to do something, okay? Church administration announcements are displayed indefinitely until removal is requested. So if you see some slides, say like the envelopes, we have an envelope slide, or the Metro Rail Station slides. Obviously, those came from administration, so they need to be up there indefinitely because they consistently are giving information to people. Where do I catch the Metro Rail? Or what do I do with my envelopes? Or I need to remind myself to put my number on my envelope, that type of thing. So those are displayed indefinitely. So if you keep seeing those constantly, that's because those came from church administration, vice the ministries. All right. Any more questions about the digital presentation PowerPoints? Yes, ma'am.
I hardly ever prepare my PowerPoint. And I always just send the information. So what I would like to do is get the PowerPoint that you create, the activity, a copy of that so that I can use that on Facebook or whatever.
Okay.
How do we go about that?
Put that request on your request form that you would like a copy of that. Because also when I finish the announcements for each week, I do have a distro list that I send it out to, because obviously the various church entities need all the announcements to put on display here. We got to make sure North gets the same information and DC gets the same information. We need to make sure the admin office gets the information. So there's a distro that I send out. So just put that note that you would like to receive the actual PowerPoint announcement after it's created on your request form. And then I can just easily add you to my distro list when I send it out that week. I usually send it out Saturdays sometimes. Sometimes it's early Saturday, sometimes it's really late Saturday. It all depends on my schedule, but I send it out Saturdays, so I can definitely do that. That'll be easy. Yes, ma'am.
You guys had beginning that the video offering presentation announcements that weren't on offering.
Yes.
That is happening at both campuses and in DC as well.
Correct.
My question is the same information that's run here also run at North and DC?
It depends.
And if not, how
So when I do the distro list and send out the announcements, so in essence, North gets the announcements that are being produced or the events and activities 9 times out of 10, even though we advertise both, but 9 times out of 10, it's most of them are the activities here at Glendale, obviously. When I send them to North, North inserts their activities in those announcements because obviously their congregation 9 times out of 10 is staying there at North. So there are activities. Have had requests in the past to also get the North announcements because once they insert those announcements, they don't send them back to me. They just project them out because, like I said, 9 times out of 10, I'm sending it on Saturday because that's when I put them all together. And it varies in times on Saturday, so I don't get anything back. I give them the information that needs to go up. And truth be told, I'm not sure who at North kind of looks at them to say this one comes out, put something else in, and I'm not sure of their timing as well for their offering when they would display the announcements. But I know North will add in any additional announcements that they have specific to North, but that's not here at Glendale. Glendale will advertise both if we have the information. 9 times out of 10, that comes through on the request form. If it's happening at both locations. If they're doing new members orientation only here, then they only list Glendale because the location of the event is asked on this digital presentation form. If you only put in Glendale, that's all we're going to put up on the slide. If you're doing it both at Glendale and North, please tell us on this request form so that we can put both locations on there. But I don't know. Like I said, because I'm not there at North to know what's going on as far as what happens when they get our announcements, I can't answer that question fully. Yes, ma'am.
How do you spell your last name?
Last name is Beckett, Beckett. And I'll give you all my contact information at the end so that you can shoot me emails if you have any further questions. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So, you know, that share.
Slide.
That goes out. So, I noticed that I most of the time, I only see it like the week before. So, do I have to go back to whoever initially put this out to have it go out maybe 2 or 3 times before? Because it's only once a month that we have the share program.
Right.
But we would like for people to know every week to be reminded of it before that.
Right. Exactly. Actually, that share, that slide goes out as soon as I get the information from Catholic Charities. Because if you notice, I put the menu, what's offered on the menu and the prices, but they don't always put out their information in time for me to put it up.
You're not getting it from us, you're getting it from Catholic.
Right, exactly. Because what happens is for that particular slide, so I know that it needs to go up like as soon as possible, right? Because obviously we want to get people ready to put in their request if they want to purchase any of those items. So because I do all the announcements every week, it's easy for me to keep going and checking the website. If for some reason someone else is doing the announcements, they may not remember to go check the website. But I can tell you now, I'm the one doing all the announcements, so I check the website every time to make sure I can put it up. Especially at the beginning of the month, depending on where the beginning of the month falls in the grand scheme of things. I can tell you for the November, I wanted to put it up last week for the 31st, but the information wasn't up yet. It was still October. And so they were...
We got November's flyer in October.
Yeah. But they didn't send it. And what's up on their website, the Share Charities website, like I literally go to their website to get the information so I can get the right dates, that wasn't ready yet. If you have it, absolutely, yes, please send it and I will give you my email at the end here.
So could we use like our menu flyer, would that work, or we have to get that, go through the approval process? I mean, I don't know how soon you're getting them.
Right, so, well, for the Catholic, for the Share Network, that's almost like, it's a reoccurring ministry, and it's more administrative, so that's something that stays up as long as we can keep the information relevant. So that you would just send me, if you could send me, or somebody from the ministry can send me the menu as soon as you get it, that works out for me. Yeah, if I have to rely on just the website, then if the website's not updated yet, then I can't update mine, because obviously I'm not gonna put out, worthless information. Because by then, the October dates have already passed, we don't have the November menu, I'm not sure what dates, I make sure the dates are correct for the pickup and the, drop off.
Yeah, 'cause we get the flyers the month before.
Oh, yeah, if I can get that, that would be fantastic, yep. So I'll give you my email at the end, but yes, that'd be perfect. Back in the day, we used to get them in advance from whoever was the rep, but since then, I guess they let us go get it from the web. We don't get any other information. I know that it's occurring, so I know where to go find the information.
That would be very helpful if it's up more than once
Exactly.
for the month.
Yeah, so I do try to keep it up, because in essence, it should be appearing every Sunday.
Right, that's what I was.
Throughout, whether it's the next month or whatever, it should be every Sunday, but unfortunately, we don't get the information.
But we would still want you to do the request forms.
Yes, I still have to go, that's what I was asking, I figured you have to still have that, and plus the menus aren't always gonna be feasible to put up on they're just gonna have to be adjusted.
Right. As you see, I just try to do the main four. I think usually they have four
Yeah.
packages, if you will. I do the 4 packages, and that's it.
Sometimes the background is kind of messed up, it's
Mhm.
not gonna look good on a big screen, so we definitely need to get it to you as soon as possible.
Yes.
So that you can make adjustments.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, so moving on to the video announcements. Now, the video announcements are where you see, what's her name? Gosh, I can't remember. Her name escapes me right now. Yes, thank you. I wanted to say Janice. I said, it's not Janice, it's a J, but I can't remember. But when Reverend Janelle's up there and she's, hey, here are this week's announcements. That's video announcements. So we call PowerPoint, and then we got the video announcements. Video announcements is a more labor-intensive process, as you can imagine. So there are specific requirements for that one. There is a video announcement form also in your folder. That's a little bit different in the sense that we just want you to just give us the information, and then we put together the script for that particular announcement. Again, to hit on the main points, the what, when, and wheres, so that we can get the information out. I think usually those announcements must be 30 seconds or less, so that, again, we do not get convoluted with a whole bunch of announcements, and they don't run as often as the PowerPoint announcements, because obviously when you have over 90 ministries in your church, we're trying to give everybody some equal time. So they usually run 2 to 3 times maybe. It all depends on what the schedule is for that particular Sunday. So video announcements. All video announcements, again, must be submitted on the video announcement form. Please make sure that your script is concise and keep your message to 45 words or less. Yes, I said 45 words or less, because what did I say? 30 seconds. 30 seconds will go past in a snap. So we give you the opportunity to write your script so that you can still get your vision or whatever it is that you have for your event. You have that opportunity to mold it. But we also will then tweak it to make sure it fits in within our templates of what or requirements that we have to follow. Must include the who, what, when, and where, and why. All contact phone numbers must be the church number with an extension. For example, the 301-352-0320, extension 410. Must be, we try not to do anyone's personal phone numbers, because these video announcements are not just in the sanctuary, they are also on the web. So we do not try to put out people's phone numbers to the publicly. All right. Next, additional graphic elements again for the announcements may be provided, and you can provide them in any one of those formats. Again, there is no guarantee that we will use them. The gentleman that does the announcements will do his best to, again, try to maintain your brand if there's a brand for that particular event or activity, but there's no guarantee. But you're more than willing to submit it in advance, because if we have it, then we can use it. But if we don't have it in advance and it becomes a little bit troublesome to get information, then we're less likely to use it, because we don't want this to be a last-minute activity, okay? So we try to do everything in advance so we can plan out how we're going to design and set up and produce and edit and do all of that. But if we're getting things still at the last moment, it's not going to get up in time. So we just want to make sure you plan all that out in advance and submit it all in the beginning so that we can work with what you've provided. Oh, this thing keeps coming up. Well, the last slide starts off with, what was the theme of today's workshop? Plan in advance. Plan in advance. Now, video announcements really require you to plan in advance. They need to be submitted at least 60, yes, I said 60 days, 2 months in advance. We're really testing your ability to plan in advance. But plan in advance. This allows, again, for sufficient processing time through the admin office to make sure we have all the elements and they have all the necessary approvals. And it also allows us plenty of time to design, produce, edit, because think about it, we have to get Reverend Janelle in here to read the script, we have to do all the video camera work, we have to do all the design work behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes into the video announcement process. So, and speaking of that process, here it is. This is, in theory, how it should work if you planned 60 days out. And I'm not going to go through all these different parts, but you can read it in your presentations. But it just allows time, sufficient time, the proper time for the administration to do their piece. Then it comes over to Jamie's commission, because Jamie Davidson, again, is also in charge of the video announcements. It gets to go through her processing time. Then it gets to the designer to design all the graphic elements and all the whooshes and wishes and everything that goes on in the video announcements. It allows time for Janelle to come in to read the script, make sure everything is correct in the script, dates are right, because there are a couple times where we have wrong dates for things, where the day and date, again, don't match. Their phone numbers were incorrect. We had a couple times where our phone numbers were incorrect. It didn't match what was on, that was provided to us, because we knew, wait, that number's not that ministry. That number belongs to another ministry. Now we got to go find what's the correct number. But it just allows us time to do all those things. And if really done properly, it should also allow time for, once we finish a draft of the design, we should be able to meet with the ministry to make sure they're okay with the message. Again, to give you guys, if you have a vision of how things should look or be seen, then we want to give you that opportunity. But truth be told, most of the time we don't have that opportunity because people don't what? Plan in advance. So ideally, that's what should happen. We should be able to sit down and consult and let you look at the videos to see, how does that work for you? Does that meet what you're trying to do for your event? Especially, and we love Reverend Janelle because she's full of energy, so she can put energy to anything. But if that's not really, if you wanted a more serious type Reid Vice, a more energetic type Reid, well, we won't really know that because we never get the opportunity to sit and consult with the ministries. Ideally, we should be able to sit with the ministry head, run through the video, make sure everything meets specifications from the ministry's perspective, and then from there we move on and then project it up. That's what should happen in an ideal world. But yes, we make adjustments, we adapt, we're flexible, we do our best to accommodate everyone here at the church, because in the end, the main goal is to get the word out, is to spread the message, it is to receive in the members, it's to receive in the support, it's to encourage someone to get help here or there, it's to encourage that child to come to this event so they can be touched. At the end of the day, the mission is to get the message out, and that's what our ministry does. So with that concludes my portion of the presentation. Again, my name is Sister Jennifer Beckett, Beckett. Again, I'm the digital presentation lead here at the Glendale campus. My email address, I'm going to say it first, and then I'll spell it out. It's thesweetpea@aol.com. And yes, I've had that forever, ever since I've been a member of the church. That's why I just keep it, because everyone knows that one. And it's THESWET, just one E, @AOL.com. So the sweet P, sweet with one E, @AOL.com. My cell phone is 240-461-6011. And feel free to, once you put in your information, you've gotten it approved, and I ask, or I say that so that once you've gotten it approved, then call me. Don't call me before then, because my first question to you will be, is your announcement approved? Because if I haven't seen it yet, then as far as I'm concerned, it's not approved yet. So I'm not going to move on it until it's approved, so I know that we're still in accordance with the church requirements and guidelines. I don't know if anyone was here for Lay Day, but for Lay Day, when they did their history piece, and you saw the images on the screen and the little photo montage thingy, we did that for the digital presentation, and we did it because you know why? She planned in advance. And she gave that information to me a couple weeks before, got all the approvals, and she said, Jen, this is what I want to happen. And we were able to provide that for her because she planned in advance. She gave me all the photos. She told me what it needs to be. She gave me the script. I was able to time it out so that it pretty much was pretty close on the mark as far as when they read it. But at the end of the day, we can produce a great product so long as you plan in advance. That's the theme of today. Any other questions before I depart? Yes, ma'am.
Jennifer, you said Andrika Hall handles in the north?
Adrika Hall handles the North and DC locations. However, I pretty much manage like all three. She's my co-lead, so if you need anything, you still send it to me, and Adrika and I will be, we consult each other pretty much every week. About items. So if you need anything concerning North, you can pass it through me and I'll make sure it gets there. Anything else? Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your workshop.